So even though I've started plenty of seeds already for my cut flower garden, I haven't actually made a plan yet. But that is going to change today, and I'm going to take you along for the ride and how I figure it out. Hi, my name is Kristen, and I help gardeners in cold climates with short growing season learn to grow flowers and vegetables with ease. If you live in a similar climate to mine, you'll definitely want to hit the like and subscribe button and ring that notification bell. I also share exactly what I'm doing in real time every day on Instagram and Facebook. This video is part of my Backyard Business Cut Flower series, in where I'm showing you how you can just like dip your toe into the world of flower farming. So if you don't have a lot of resources to you, you're new to gardening maybe, or cut flowers are just new to you, you don't have to go all in, because let's face it, the truth is most of us don't have tons of land, tons of money, tons of time to invest in something that we're not even sure is really going to make money for us or that we even like doing, but in our heads we think it's going to be a fantastic idea. So instead of going in on a large scale, why not take it in just at the backyard level, try to sell your first couple of bouquets, learn things about your customer, about your growing conditions, and then when you're ready, you can always scale up. I've written 4 ebooks and a garden planner to help you with the growing side of things. They're called the Ultimate Cut Flower Bundle. And eventually I'm going to bump this up to also show you how to run more of the business side of things. But I wanted to go through the growing season with you and show you exactly how I'm doing it on my backyard scale cut flower farm, so then you can know and trust that this is something that'll work for you too. If you missed my previous videos about my Backyard Business Cut Flower series, you can follow this playlist and catch up on everything that you've missed. So today we're talking about how I make my plan and sort of my thought process behind it, because of course not all of us are going to have the same amount of space to work with. We don't all like the same flowers or have the same growing conditions, but I just want to give you sort of the basics on how to make your own plan. If by the end of this video you're like, Kristen, I don't want to make this plan, I just want something done for me, then you'll find it in that Ultimate Cut Flower series or just in Cut Flowers Made Simple by itself. So the first step to making this year's garden planner is to look back on your garden's past. So in particular, I'm referencing my gardens in 2019 and 2020 quite heavily, but I'm also sort of thinking about previous gardens that I've had with lots of perennials and cut flowers in my vegetable garden. My mom also grows a garden that is full of beautiful established perennials that are full of cut flowers, and she also puts some in her vegetable garden. So when I'm making up my plans, I'm always thinking of my previous gardens and my mom's garden as sort of the basis of that. And then I'm working on that plan from year to year. So 2019 was the first year that I grew a dedicated cut flower garden in one space. And it was pretty successful, but it was very messy and overgrown. Some of my spacing wasn't right. I still had some pumpkins in there and they were just going crazy and took up half the space. I still had a few more tomatoes in there. And while I learned a lot, it was definitely not the ideal. So I took all of those lessons and mistakes that I made and I made up the Garden of 2020. The Garden of 2020 was beautiful. I was so happy with how it turned out, but believe it or not, I still had some wasted space. Part of that was because I had planned to grow sunflowers and only one sunflower came up and it was like a sad little stem. And there were just a few other flowers that I grew that I thought I didn't have enough room for, so I shipped them off to my mom's garden. And then when I was done planting my garden, realized, oh, I actually did have a little more space. I could have kept a few more, but that's okay. I mean, that's all about learning about your own garden and your own space. And now I know for 2021. So when I'm making that plan, I'm gonna go to my 2020 garden. I've kept detailed notes of what I started when, and then I know in my head too, and from my pictures, like if it was the right timing or if I could have bumped it up or bumped it back a little bit. And so I base all of my decisions on this 2020 garden planner. Then I go into my 2021 garden planner and start to do things from there. So when you're thinking about the different elements of your bouquet and what you're going to offer, you need to make sure that you don't have all hero flowers. You also need some greens, you need some small flowers, you need some filler, and you need some spikes. Now, if you take a look at this plan for my main garden space, you'll notice that there's a lot of hero flowers in there. And you might ask yourself, well, Kristen, aren't you going to do all the other parts? And the answer is yes. But the reason why my main garden has just kind of the hero flowers in it is because you have to remember that I'm a blogger and a content creator. So I'm always thinking in my mind about what's going to make the prettiest picture, because the truth is, if my pictures don't look beautiful, you're not going to click on my stuff. You're not going to come watch my YouTube channel. And then I don't have a business. So my garden is always going to be just a little bit different than yours in the fact that I'm thinking about pictures. If I wasn't thinking about pictures, everything would be all together and it would just be easier, but that's okay. That's the business I chose. The next thing you need to think about is the bouquets that you're going to make. Now, if this is your first year, even your second year, you might not really know what kind of bouquets you want to make, and that's okay. This is why we're doing it on a small scale. I personally, because of the small size of my yard, I'm only planning on offering bouquets until maybe about mid-July to end of August, maybe mid-September if the weather is warm. I do have a lot of peonies available to me, so I could do a June offering, but I do have a bride in June, and because of regulations and I don't know exactly how many attendants she might have or how big her wedding is going to be, or if it's going to still be really small, in my mind I'm just sort of all saving those for her. I also have some experiments going on to see if I can have more filler flowers at that time. We really struggle where I live in zone 3 to get those fillers in the May and June time, so there's some experiments on the seed starting tray. Because I'm uncertain about the types of flowers I'll be able to offer in both June and maybe up even into October, I'm not counting those as income. In my mind, I'm only counting on the income from my July offerings and my August offerings. Anything else that I'm able to grow and sell is bonus. One question I get asked a lot by beginner gardeners is about the spacing of everything in my plant and how much to plant. Now, this video could go on for a long time if I was to list exactly every single spacing for every single flower. So if you need that kind of help, that is definitely in that Ultimate Cut Flower Garden Bundle. But what I will tell you is this: if you're unsure about how much to plant for any sort of flower, always start with 12. You're never going to regret planting just 12 of something. I mean, you might want more of it, but it'll never be too little. Frankly, in my opinion, if you don't have at least 12 of every variety, you're kind of wasting your time. But now that said, does that mean that I only seed start 12 of everything? No, I definitely seed start more of everything that I'm actually going to be able to fit into my garden. And this is because I need to account for failure. So I have 3 kids, 2 of whom are 2 and under. So that means that if they get into my seed starting stuff, I could lose a whole flat of things just from somebody's little hands digging in the dirt. And that's life, right? I could also lose stuff in the hardening off process, or if I'm a bit forgetful about my seeds or whatever happens, right? Stuff dies. So I need to make sure that I have enough to account for a little bit of stuff dying. Now, what if everything lives? Well, that's fantastic. I'm not worried because I know that I can easily maybe sell off those seedlings, give them away. Too many seedlings are literally never a problem. Someone will always take them off of your hands. My mom also takes my extras off my hands. So in that way, I'm lucky. She never says no. The last thing I get asked about by beginners a lot is if there's any sort of companion planting with flowers. Now, I haven't found any that like flowers that don't like each other. That's more of a thing that you hear about in vegetable gardens. But what I will tell you is when you're making out your plan, you definitely have to consider the different heights of the different flowers. Think of your flower plan a little bit like a class picture. The tall kids never go in the front row, right? The tall kids always go in the back row. So if you think of your flowers like children, you want your tall flowers in the back row and your short flowers in the front. So that means don't plant a sunflower right beside a calendula. That calendula is gonna die. And the thing is, when you're planting, like, don't be too hard on yourself. You're gonna make mistakes. Even if you have the best flower plan ever, you're going to get outside, start putting stuff in the ground, and you're probably going to change things a little bit. And that is okay. I also like to account for my garden plans a little extra space. So this is maybe 1 bed or like half a bed that I just don't plan out. There's nothing planned for it, so that if when I get outside, I realize I've miscalculated or there's some flower I picked up along the way that I absolutely had to have that year, there is space for it. So if you need more help putting everything together, I have my Ultimate Cut Flower Bundle, which is 4 different ebooks for helping you with the planning side of things. Plus it includes my garden planner that I showed you in ebook form. It's great that way because you can just print it out year after year after year and you don't have to buy anything extra. I'll put that link down in the description for you. If you want to follow along with this backyard business cut flower journey, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and you can always see exactly what I'm doing in real time on Instagram and Facebook. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.